mentioned Giannis as a star player that it would take to endorse, a coach. Giannis avoided disaster. The Bucks avoided disaster. His Achilles seems to be intact based on initial
The Bucks
tests.
avoided more disaster, additional disaster to what they already have. Is what
as if they don't have enough problems. But it seems like a calf strain, which could cost him a couple of weeks. But the Bucks already had issues before their superstar went down with this injury. Like, I'll ask you like this: where do the Bucks stop or get stopped in these playoffs? Like, this is not how it was supposed to look. I mean, I'm old enough to remember Doc Rivers seeming to have solved their defensive issues. Now they having film sessions where everybody's speaking their mind, and then of course Giannis goes down with an injury. Like, what is your read on this team as we approach the playoffs, Kurt?
They're confused. They don't know who they are. Who are the Milwaukee Bucks? What is their identity? Because you knew under Mike Budenholzer there was a plan. The coach they didn't want. Whatever you think of his playoff adjustments, they were a defense-first team that played a very specific style of defense, and they leaned heavily on Giannis on offense, but they knew what they were and what they wanted to be. And through this season, they've kind of just dropped that rope. I don't know who they are. They're certainly not the same defensive team, but they don't execute. They're not executing the offense. They're not executing their game plans all that well. And it's unimpressive, frankly, guys. They're just not very good. They beat the Celtics last night when the Celtics went through the motions and played. Dude, it looked like what was it? Was it Niners? Cowboy? Who was that a few years ago where they were going to play in the next week in the NFL and they just both ran out their subs with vanilla offenses and we're giving nothing away? The Celtics did that. They were just like, man, here's some backups and we're not going to run anything fancy. The Bucks have to figure out who they are, and I don't know that Doc's getting through to them. Like, I don't know that he cleaned up some of the low-hanging fruit, but the stuff that's really got to be fixed, forget they can't beat Boston. Can they beat the Knicks if they're really together? If they get the Sixers in the first round with Joel Embiid, guys, can they beat them? I'm not sure they can right now.
Now, Kurt,
go ahead, Mike.
Kurt, I'm just wondering. Okay, what do we know? What do we know now? Because let's go in here. Let's go in. You talking about the low-hanging fruit? I'm going for the low-hanging fruit. The rapper, basketball player known as Dame Lillard. What do we know? What do we know now that we didn't know then about that trade? Is there any buyer's remorse, you think, from Milwaukee? Now that they got him up close, he's in their facility, they travel with him, they see what his strengths are, what his defensive liabilities are. What do we know now about Dame the Buck that we didn't know then?
Getting old. Like, it's not that he's not still Damian Lillard. It's just like the rest of us when we get old, we're not Damian Lillard quite as often, right? Like, we're not quite the same guy. This was an all-NBA player who's not going to be on an all-NBA team this year. He has been clutch, but he's not doing it every night as consistently as he did before. That's been kind of the issue over the course of the regular season. Maybe he can raise that level in the playoffs. He has had, obviously, huge clutch playoff games in the past, but he has not been that guy night in and night out. And the other thing I think the real buyer's remorse there is less, hey, we have to trade Drew Holiday to get Damian Lillard. It's, hey, maybe we should find a way to make sure he doesn't end up in Boston. Like, that's what kills him. Like, they gave up Drew Holiday, and he goes straight to their rival. Oh, and by the way, one of the best perimeter defenders in the league can now match up with Dame Lillard in the playoffs. Like, that was the huge mistake. They needed to get him somewhere where out west.
Yeah, or have him stay out west. So speaking of the Celtics, though, 0 free throws.
Wow.
You don't see that often. As in never. As in never. I mean,
come on.
Jayson Tatum ain't had a whole lot to say, but what he said hit pretty hard. Here's Jayson Tatum.
You've taken a lot of strides in your career to get to the free throw line. You guys took 0 free throws tonight, first time ever. What is it like playing a game where nobody gets to the line on the team?
Another day in the NBA.
We saw a solar eclipse on Monday. no free throws on Wednesday in the NBA game by one team. I think the Bucks had 2, and they were from Giannis, right? The Bucks might have 2. Like, so is this just a statistical anomaly, or is this part of this grand conspiracy that's been floating around in the atmosphere around the NBA overcorrecting the scoring from earlier in the season? Like, how the hell does this happen, Kurt?
It's exactly that. Look, the league can deny it all they want. Eyeball evidence and statistical evidence show. Look, you watch a game now, they are not calling contact on drives the same way they did before. Guys had learned to kind of, hey, they were taking advantage. If you're going to call everything, then I'm going to veer on a weird path and make sure there's contact on the way to the rim, and I'm going to get that call. And if I can get the end one, great, but I'm going to get to the line. But they've kind of, like you said, the pendulum has just swung so far the other way that I was at Lakers Warriors last night. Gary Payton pretty much flattened Rui Hachimura, just came through with his body and took him out. No call. Like, they're not calling anything right now around the rim. And it's just swung so far that guys are clearly getting fouled, and nothing's being called. This is the ultimate expression of that, isn't it? I mean, a lot of teams shot jumpers, but you're telling me a game with Giannis, yes, he missed. He played a half. Giannis Antetokounmpo didn't get fouled going to the line. Lillard gets to the line. Jayson Tatum didn't get fouled.
It's wild,
Jaylen Brown didn't get fouled. There's a lot of guys going inside there, man.
Hey, Mike, the other day we were complaining, or many were complaining, about the Aaliyah Edwards offensive foul, moving screen call, and you never want to see a game come down to that. Is this the first day in the history of basketball, Michael, that people are complaining about a lack of foul calls? We want to see more from the officials. I never thought I'd get to a point in my life,
I don't get enough Scott Foster in my life, man. More Scott Foster.
So what do we have to look forward to, Kurt, in the star-studded play-ins, foul-wise? Because you might have Embiid in there, you might have Jimmy Butler, you might have Steph Curry, LeBron James. Who knows? The Suns are like. Kevin Durant might be there. If not Kevin Durant, De'Aaron Fox. So what should we expect? What should we expect? Basically, all those stars in the play-in, and how is the game going to be called in the playoffs? Is this a little warning that, hey, get ready, we're going to let them play in the playoffs?
But they always let them play a little bit in the playoffs anyway. It didn't go this far, but they've always let them go, and guys still keep attacking and get calls. I don't think it's going to change that much from what it is right now. I think they're just kind of allowing playoff basketball. I don't think the needle's going to move a ton. We'll see. But stars are going to be foul hunting, especially if that Warriors-Lakers game, like you said, I was there last night. That Warriors win almost sets up 9-10 Warriors-Lakers. The Lakers are going to pound it inside and try to draw fouls. They have to. It's obvious how much they missed Anthony Davis in the paint. And if they settle, they're not very good. So that game in itself would be brilliant. They'll be just trying to draw fouls, and I think you'll get more calls than zero. But that's kind of what's been going on. They've just let some playoff basketball go.
Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.